When you were in the previous role, so in the private equity investment banking side, what would you say are some of the, I suppose, key lessons that you're applying now in the business that you're in?
Mm, Probably three, three main lessons, many lessons, but I think three main things. The first one is, you kind of have to have a long-term view, but always think about what's important now as well. And the reason I say that is because things change so quickly, right? A good example is when I was building Beyond, when we had protests on the road, and my goals completely shifted from like trying to open the studio to the safety of my team. And it's so easy to get frustrated when you get huge shocks like that you can't control. So if you focus on what's important now, it kind of helps you just take it one day at a time and you build it slowly and you get to the overall goal eventually. So I think that was just the first big lesson. Just, you can't control so much. So don't get frustrated about all the headwinds. Otherwise, you just never make any progress because there's just less structure, there's less control here, right? The second one is kind of more financial. It's like, as a Nigerian business, if you don't have dollar income, do not take dollar debt. It's a very specific point, but I kind of saw companies blow up, um, haven't taken dollar debt, being a naira earning business. And then, sort of what I explained earlier about the, FX rate just depreciating, and then your sort of interest cost and your principal repayment just balloons to like, 2-3 times, and it's just out of your control. So I think trying your best to be very prudent and measured is super helpful, especially in a country like this where you get huge shocks. So that's the second one. And I think the third one is, it's actually a really funny one because it wasn't that I learned it in private equity. It was more seeing how tough the environment is. You kind of have to have a big vision and be able to be comfortable doing something that's unorthodox, right? So it's really strange for everyone that doesn't really know me well, especially thinking, why have you left a six-figure paying job in USD to build a fitness studio? But you can't, you can't let other people's fears stop you from doing what you have to do, because they would always speak from their own experience, and it doesn't mean it's valid for yours. So I think just being an independent thinker, and I kind of saw this with CEOs of the best companies we invested in, and just understanding that everybody's journey is different, it gives you more resolve to just follow through with the things you want to do. So yeah.
And on that point, then, when you looked, what did you look for then when you was investing in a CEO? What was some of the key things, and are those things that I suppose you as a entrepreneur, businesswoman have tried to sort of develop yourself?
Yeah, definitely. So one of the main things is just understanding your product or your service, having a deep understanding of it, and just being passionate about it as well, right? The best CEOs kind of knew exactly what people were saying about the product, why they were doing it, the best way to deploy it or to offer it. And I think it's very helpful to be in the weeds in that sense, especially early stage, when you're just building from the ground up. You can't really do it from afar, because I considered opening a studio from London, but that would have been a terrible idea. Right? So just knowing your product, knowing your customers, knowing your community, knowing the service intimately is super important, right? The second thing is being able to inspire and motivate people. There's so much that people have to deal with here, even just getting to work, the traffic, the security element, that you, if you have the ability to inspire and motivate people, it encourages them, right? Whether it's, I mean, there's a compensation element of remuneration, but then it goes beyond that. People want to have a purpose on why they're coming. And I think having a strong culture always helps, because even if people may leave, it prolongs, I guess, the I don't want to say useful life because that's not appropriate, but like it prolongs how long people spend in giving you their time in your company, and you get their buy-in, and then you can build something beautiful together because you can't do everything by yourself. So I think being able to inspire and motivate people is super important because it probably means that you care about your team, right? And I'll say the third one is almost having a deeper purpose on like your why. And it doesn't have to be grand, but you just have to believe it and be passionate about that. And it just helps you in the lowest of lows, and it doesn't distract you on the highs of highs as well. So I think those would be the three things.
What was the thing that you were going to use to define the success of your business? Going back to your original point, obviously it wasn't just the financial side. So did you have a clear vision at the beginning, and is that something that's still true to where you are today?
Yeah, I mean, it was, so to me, success looked like having, I mean, minus the finances, right? It's like you have multiple studios in different countries where people say it's their happy place, right? It's also uplifting anyone who joins the company and enriching them and their households because now they have a job, they have purpose, and they love what they do. It also looks like being a champion for excellence as well, because you know a lot of Nigerian companies get so much bad reputation, like bad rep around the world anyway, because of what other people may have done, or just the fact that people do a lot of mediocre things and just get away with it here. But I think being a beacon of excellence, that okay, we built something, it's global standard, it's world class, it's also tailored for us. I think that could be really beautiful as well. So in terms of numbers, I would love to have probably like at least 100,000 people digitally subscribed at some point in about 3 years. We haven't really pushed that yet, but I think that's totally achievable. I would love to see different countries, knowing and recognizing the brand. I would love to see different countries repping and wearing our merchandise. I'd love to see people making better decisions of their health because of the awareness Beyond has created as well. So those are the type of things that to me would look like success.